the arrival of HR, for example, in the last 50 years, and the extraordinary powers that HR and HR departments, human resources departments, are pretty overwhelmingly female in terms of their staffing. Would that be one of these indicators of feminization of various institutions? I mean, again, let's not. I'm withholding judgment of whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just interested in whether it's a different thing. Yeah. And it seems to be in some ways, obviously, having a more feminine workplace, insofar as it means abuse can be called out, insofar as it means that cruelty can be avoided, insofar as the actual human needs, broadly human needs of employees, as opposed to their purely professional obligations, is taken care of. That's in general a good thing, right? I mean, but there's a tipping point at when it ceases to be that good a thing. But if I were asked, I'll throw this out, what has been the main impact? I would say, obviously, the most important shift is quality. We have just, there is a whole bunch of pretty mediocre men who are now, their jobs are now held by much more capable women. And so therefore the general quality and competence and skill set of society will have benefited quite enormously from doubling the potential number of people competing for these jobs. So that seems to be number one, all right? So we have this big increase in quality and in efficiency and in how we get things done. But then we also have a cultural impact of that, of women actually changing not through some, just by osmosis, really, the kind of institutions that they operate. Matt Iglesias had a little piece about this where he said he missed the days when in journalism, well, he didn't say it quite like this, but back in the day in a journalist newsroom, first of all, it was incredibly noisy. And secondly, you'd quite often hear people screaming at each other, yelling at each other. Fuck you, Marty. Fuck you, Rick. I mean, this is what this attitude I grew up in a magazine in which people really did occasionally just let it rip. Now, very quiet. No one really does that, and if you do, it's all done through the proper channels in some sort of, Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So I think when I've seen people comment on this change, they want to go bad or good. They want to say, no, it's been great. Like, yeah, we have all this talent, which is true. Women are extremely talented. They have a lot to contribute. Or they want to say, no, it's bad. Like, women can't participate in these institutions without the institutions collapsing altogether. But I think the reality is much more nuanced than that. It's that it's been great. It's also created a lot of conflict. And it would be crazy if it created no conflict, given that men and women are a little bit different and that these institutions were designed entirely with the psychology of men in mind. It makes sense that swapping in huge numbers of women you're going to feel it. Like, there's going to be some tension. So yeah, you do have access to all of this new talent, which is amazing for a lot of different industries, to be able to replace what used to be the mediocre men with much more talented women. The HR is a great example too, because that's one where did a lot of good. Has it gone a little too far? Maybe it has. I have some questions that I asked so one thing we see, because men evolved in these massive coalitions where they had to defer to these competent leaders, and it was really important to be maximally competent. Well, what does this mean? This means that men should prioritize competence very, very highly, and they might even prioritize competence above other things, like being a morally decent person.
Because historically they were fighting wars, and a weak link could mean catastrophe for everyone. So you had to be extremely concerned that everyone was getting this right. Or I mean, it's true about any particular endeavor. But you're saying that evolutionary advantage is slightly different among women, who might say, well, this person isn't that good a caretaker, but other people can take care of the kid, or we can compensate for that, and she's not a worse person because of this, and she has other virtues. But whereas there are contexts in which big male groups would be like, that dude's too weak to do this, fuck him, get him out of here, put in someone else.